Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. Um, so I came across your Instagram actually, and I don't know how, but I think it was just on my sort of like search page.
That's
And
good. I'm not very good with Instagram, so you're lucky you found me.
no, but I just couldn't believe there was this like whole community of people that, especially South Asian women,
Mm,
powerlifting, and I didn't know it actually sort of how big it was.
mm,
And it got me thinking about sort of image and beauty. So and that's why I was so fascinated when I sort of like started to read up on it and started seeing
mm,
your videos, and also seeing like other women and South Asian women sort of like in this sport that, to be honest,
mm.
I'd heard of it, but it's not a sport that's really sort of.
Yeah, it's not on TV very much. It's not out there as much as you think. It's not a classic, it's not a team
No.
sport. So yeah, it's niche, but there is a hugely growing number of people doing it now. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And so before we get into that, one of the questions I'd really like to ask you is actually sort of the before story of powerlifting. So like, I'd really like to know what your relationship was with beauty before you got into powerlifting.
yeah. So I think, when I was younger, like most teenage girls, you look at the magazines, you see things like Cosmo, Glamour magazine. Then it tended to be, this is sort of 20, 25 years ago. It did tend to be, white women, pretty blonde, skinny, slim. And I always thought that was what was beautiful. I never really saw myself anywhere out there on film or TV or anything. It was that kind of image that I thought was what I needed to aspire to, really. So yeah, I probably had a very different image just because I didn't have any role models as such to look at. So, and also sport just wasn't really featured in when I was they did have sport at school, but my parents didn't really encourage it. um and not for any negative reason, just I wasn't interested myself. So it wasn't something that I pursued. So it's quite a different background, I'd say, um to what I'm doing now. That's been, yeah, since I was younger, powerlifting didn't really feature at all, um in what I thought I would end up doing.
Yeah, I know, but to be honest, it's a sport that I would never think of. It's a sport that I sort of connect to a lot of men, big
Mm,
men, really
mm.
built men, very strong men, as you say, a lot of white men.
Yeah.
I remember watching, because it was on, because I only had 4 channels growing up, so it was like, the strongest man or
Yeah.
something, those sort of
Yeah,
competitions.
so we used to live in Wales, and I remember meeting Jeff Capes, who was
Oh, okay.
strongest man then, and I used to think, oh, this is what strong is. Obviously he was huge, massive stomach, like could carry me with one finger, when I was a little girl. So that was my kind of image of strong. I never even thought women could be strong or something that they should aim for. It was
No,
always about the diet, food. This is how you keep slim.
slender,
This is what the
skinny.
image should be. Yeah. How are you going to look at, another Sri Lankan party? How are you going to, how are people going to judge you? And our community does do looks. It's, oh, she's a bit dark. She's she's put on a bit of
Yeah.
weight, and it's just how they talk. It's not. It's just how their culture is. And it's not always like that, but there was a lot of it when I was growing up.
Wow. And especially like when I go to the gym as well, that there's actually no sort of areas of places like of health where it's actually, I still think gyms, the sort of weight part, where you have to do the weights and stuff,
Mm,
I still don't think it's still very welcoming for women, because
mm,
firstly, whenever I'm there, it's filled with men, and that's
mm,
quite intimidating it's intimidating for me, because um what I really should say is, hi, like, I was wondering if you can help me, like, what, so I can actually sort of build that. But because women like me are probably quite intimidated,
mm.
because also it's always a group of people, like, men with their friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, you feel
So
like you don't want to interrupt, and they're doing their own program. It is difficult, and the gym my local gym is similar to that. I'm very lucky. Luckily, my husband took me in, and he showed me what to do, and how to lift. And then I ended up getting it because I enjoyed it so much. I ended up getting a coach, who was a woman coach, who was one of the people who were lifting heavy. So I knew to approach her and say, look, I'd love to have some coaching. And the main thing is, I think you do need someone to show you how to lift properly,
right.
that's safely, because people do have an image of, oh, you're going to get injured if you lift too heavy, and oh, this is going to fall out, or this is this is going to go
Yeah.
wrong, you've got back problems. But that's only because of technique. Once you learn that, once you learn the technique, you really can lift. There should be nothing stopping you. And some of the men in the gym don't know how to lift properly. So it's a case of just getting someone who knows what they're talking about and getting that coaching initially to not be intimidated. No one should be intimidated. I can say that I was as well,
Yeah.
but no one should be. There should be encouragement.
And that's amazing that you say encouragement, because so your husband got you into powerlifting?
Not quite into powerlifting. He got me in the gym, and he was amazed at how strong I was without any training.
Wow.
Um, and then I ended up joining CrossFit, which really does encourage lifting. So CrossFit is a mixture of like gymnastics, functional fitness, and lifting as well combined. So there's so many different elements to it. And I found that the gymnastics side was not my strong point. So things like handstand walks and,
It looks good, but
muscle ring, muscle ups and things. They look incredible when they do it.
yeah,
It just wasn't something that I took to naturally. I mean, I still do a bit of it, but
yeah,
I'm not, good. And what I found was the lifts, like the deadlift and the squat. I always found I was coming, because you put your scores in
yeah,
um, when you do a class, and I was always doing really well. Um, at it, and it amazed me because I've not done it before at all. So
yeah,
there's some sort of natural strength as well, and you're coached properly to do it right. And it was again my husband who said, look, your totals are almost, you could qualify for a national powerlifting competition,
wow.
because I turned 40 that year. So as a
Awesome.
master, there's you could enter. So I said, okay, I'll focus on it, because it's nice to focus on strength for a bit. And I ended up competing and qualifying for competition, and just found that I loved it. So
It's amazing. But
it's a really
also
good focus.
with powerlifting, something we've spoken about, it sort of goes against everything that we were
Yeah,
brought up to believe in when it comes to beauty, when it comes to like how we should be looking.
yeah.
Um, so did you sort of feel in conflict with the sport at all?
I think I didn't feel in conflict. I'd say that, I got to a stage in my life where I'd had my 3 children. I'm an accountant. I've done I've done the Asian thing, if you know what I mean. So I felt like I could take my own path. I could take something for myself. Um, there was there was a bit of a worry, oh, you're going to get really bulky. A lot of people think that, but I really am not. And I love the way that I can now, instead of focusing on my personal weight, or how I look now, I'm looking at the numbers going on the bar. I want to
Wow.
lift heavier, and that gives me something, another confidence boost every time I can look at the bar and say, yeah, that deadlift has increased, or that bench press has gone up, and my technique's gone up. And that's something that I think takes away from the other side, that you're worried about your body image, and that that you're now lifting for yourself
Yeah.
rather than how other people perceive you.
And how does that make you feel?
Yeah, just great. It's the endorphins you get. It's the looks of people who think, oh my goodness, what is she doing with that big bar. It's just giving you confidence that you're doing it for yourself, I think. So it's a really good boost.
Yeah,
I
because
definitely.
a lot of people do associate with, because I think, as you say, you're concentrating on the numbers going up.
Yeah,
You're talking about weight. You have to put on weight to
yeah,
be able to lift heavy.
yeah,
And I can imagine for a lot of women, South Asian women, that sort of, you
That's
know,
against the grain. Yeah, they're looking at
that's fear, you
yeah,
know.
they're looking at getting on the scales and putting on weight. But I can honestly say I weigh more now than
Mm,
I did, 5 years ago. But I honestly think I look stronger, I look better. It's not necessarily, it's about your body, it's about what's inside you, it's about your muscle mass. It's different things that make up your weight. So it's definitely not necessarily the scales. They don't reflect
mm,
your body shape and your image. And I've realized that after a long time, after thinking, oh, I need to lose that, that stone or that half a stone
mm,
here. It's not about that now. It's about converting that into muscle almost.
mm.
What I've got, using what I've got. And if I do put on weight, I mean, I have to stay in my weight category for competing. But for women who aren't going to compete, they should really look at, not worry about the scales at all. It really is about eating right to gain that muscle.
Yeah,
Eating less, you're going to struggle.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
hard thing to do at the same time. So building muscle and
yeah. And
losing weight.
a hard thing to sort of reprogram your
Yes,
mind, I think, as
yeah.
well, because you
Mm.
know, for someone, if someone came, I suppose it's a bit like an actor, you know,
Mm.
like Bridget Jones's Diary, like Renee Zellweger. I remember watching an interview with her, and she was saying all I ate was donuts. I mean, the idea that I could just eat donuts, you know what I mean, or
Well,
just eat, like, you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Just
um,
eat good meals,
yeah,
good meals, and it
carbs,
makes you think. And you definitely feel better once you've had a good eating day. You will definitely feel better when you then approach your lifting,
yeah,
and getting stronger. So it sort of gets programmed into you. Yeah, that alcohol didn't help me that day. So you plan it, and you work around it, and you realize what is good for you, and it isn't eating salads and soup every day.
no. And do you think, I mean, what do you think the major reason is that women or South Asian women aren't
Mm.
getting into powerlifting? What do
I
you
think
think
you're
sort of are the
completely right. I think it's just the image. We don't see a lot of role models. We don't see South Asian women lifting at all. So I'm lucky enough to have met some in competitions, not necessarily my age, but across the age groups, younger women. I think from university, there's lots of lifting clubs now, and they really, like CrossFit as well, has encouraged women and South Asian women to come into the sport. But I do think it's a little bit from the first generation of
Yeah,
that isn't really a sport. And why would you want to get bulky? Why would you want to put on weight? Why would you want to do that? And I think it's from their generation. You tend to, it tends to by osmosis. You think, oh no,
yeah.
that's not the right thing to do. I'll I'll do something different that will suit them, perhaps.
And I
uh,
suppose culture as well, you know, because it's a job that doesn't probably bring in money. It's a
no,
job
yeah,
that, would it attract
yeah,
someone for you to, like,
yeah.
you know, for a partner
It's
in life?
definitely that image of, well, why would you do it? Because it's not, it's yes, it's not benefiting you in the right way. Whereas it completely does. It does benefit my health, my mental health.
Yeah,
Everything is supporting my confidence. Whereas I think in my parents' case, they didn't do a lot of things just for themselves. It was definitely about how to support the family, how to bring money in, how to not survive. But yeah, it was about other things. It wasn't necessarily about your own pursuits.
mm,
And I'm just really, really happy that I've been brought up in a different, so I can pursue it,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
have got the confidence to go and do it and not worry about what other people think. I mean, my mum was very worried that my uterus was going to fall out, or something. When she saw, but once she saw what I'd achieved, she was really, they were really proud. So
Yeah,
and all my family have been great now, but there is the initial, oh,
shock
that's
factor.
something a bit unusual. Yeah, no one was negative. I'm very lucky, but I think, again, like I say, I'm older enough to go and do it. I've had my family up,
Yeah, I
I'm,
do think, like, the way you're talking, you know, like, you know, you sort of, you say, like, you know, you've grown up, you've sort of gone through the corporate sort of role of an
yeah.
accountant, you've had your children. There is this thing about age, isn't there? I mean, there is definitely. I mean, I'm 37. I'm nearly 38, and the person I was at 28
Mm,
to the person I am now at 38. And
mm,
some of the decisions I've made, I know if I hadn't have made this, if I'd made the easy decision,
mm.
you know, and not made the hard ones, it's always the hard decisions are always like the right ones in the long run.
Yeah,
But there is something about the confidence, like the, you know, like that over 40, sort of like the 40, you know, there is something quite amazing about that age, isn't there? Because,
yeah.
you know, you suddenly do have this confidence. You think, actually,
Mm.
it's my time now.
Yeah, yeah, it's my
Uh,
time, definitely. Yeah, you've put in the hard work of, you know, you've put in the hard work bringing up your children. You've done that. Now it is my time. But I wouldn't discourage anyone from doing it when they're younger at all, because I wonder how I would be if I did start when I was younger. I'd be, you
yeah.
know, a lot less aches and pains maybe
Mhm.
from being older. But no, I think that's right. I think I feel much more at ease doing it now. Um, Now I've got time to dedicate to it as well.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
it's come at the right time, I think, as you
Mm,
say. You know, well, I think for me personally, like when things, I do think of that. I think when I'm younger, like why did I get that house? You know, why did I, you know, get that property at such a young age? And
mm,
you know that I was sort of like connected to, and it was sort of became a
mm.
hindrance. You know, if
Oh.
I'd just followed my passion into the media and stuff. But I've also gained this massive life experience as
Mm,
well. And I've had this understanding that actually, although that was my life, I
mm,
actually appreciate the now a lot more
mm.
when it comes to family and also my career and the decisions I make for myself. I
Yeah.
actually appreciate them more because I know what it's like not to have that as well.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely appreciative that I had the security, um, got married, you know, really, you know, just it was just a nice way of sort of approaching things, because, you know, I did want to please my mum and dad. I wanted to make them, you know, make them happy and secure, and getting married and having kids is a big thing for them. So I'm so grateful it worked out, you know, well. And I'm, you know, that it would be sad to think if I hadn't, you know, have achieved those
Yeah.
things at that time, they would be worried about me, and they definitely wouldn't have been. Yeah, you go and start your powerlifting career.
But this is it as well, isn't it? Like some of the confidence I feel like I have is because, you know, I didn't have it at that age because I knew the reaction, and it would have been the reaction would have been a lot worse. I think the
Mm,
things with social media and time is a great healer. You know,
mm,
time does moves sort of attitudes on. But
mm.
do you think attitudes are changing? Like, you know, are they still slow on the uptake? Do you think that, you know, there's it's still got a long way to go?
I definitely think it depends on your family and their outlook. I think still a lot of first generation are still of that attitude that, yeah, you do want to have your security and get the family unit, have a secure job, earn money, like in these certain professions. I think that's going to be there from first generation. But now I've got, I know I had my children, and I would never say to them, "Oh, you have to do this sort of
Mm,
career. This is the one for you." And because we do have so many more role models in
yeah,
arts and media and different areas who are successful, it's definitely just having that confidence to say to them, yeah,
yeah,
go and do your passion, be sensible, try and, you know, have a backup. No one's going to be a singer on the X Factor, but not everyone's going to make that career. But yeah, if you really have a passion, you show dedication, you should pursue it. It shouldn't just be these, you know, the stereotypical areas where we see. And I think the social media is helping a lot, as well, because you do see lots of successful Asian women and men doing different careers, which is, I think, is great, really good. Well, like, so Ramesh is one of my favorite comedians, and I love his
yeah,
story where, you know, he was the maths teacher, and then
yeah,
he started doing the comedian route, but still being a teacher, and then working out that was actually his, you know, his drive and his passion. And I think people like that are great to show that you can do something. It doesn't have to be the accountant, doctor.
yeah. And I think as well, I think for me, it's about learning, learning from past mistakes, but also um, not letting history repeat itself. you know, sort of when it comes to attitudes, and when it comes to sort of like even how we treat our children, how we treat each other. You know, I know I've spoken to other people about, you know, inter-community racism and inter-community attitudes and stuff like that. But I think it's sort of, we as a community want to change, and I think that's hard for people. And I think for me as well, like what you're doing, I think being a role model and leading by example for your children, and saying, actually, look, you know, mummy's doing it, look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. You know, it's
you need the support. Like, my husband's been great. He's always got, you know, time for me to go in and train. And obviously I've was very lucky to, you know, I competed for England, so I had to go away to Canada, and yeah, my competitions, they last all, you know, a long time. So I've got that support, you know, I've got that support behind me to say, yeah, go and do it as well. So that does really help. It's not someone in your ear going, oh, why are you lifting that much? Why, you know, you should be out running or something. But yeah, I've got the support. I think you just do need that support and that little push as well to say, yeah, I can do this.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yes, very good. Something.
So tell me how it was competing for England. Like, how did you feel when, you know, you got that opportunity and you found out that you will be competing for England? What, you know, tell me about how you were feeling.
It was, I mean, I never thought, you know, when I first started, this would happen. You know, I've done a few regional, I've done some national competitions. For people who don't know, powerlifting consists of 3 lifts. So it's the squat, which is when you have the bar on your back and you go right down to depth and come back up. The bench press, where you lie on the bench and lift the bar up. And the deadlift, which is just picking the bar up from the floor to a certain height. So there are different qualifying totals of what you're lifting that enable you to compete nationally. So yeah, I'd got a total from an All England competition, and yeah, when I got the call to say you're up, it was, I just couldn't believe it anyway. And yeah, it was in Canada, so that was incredible. So yeah, just getting the England tracksuit made it seem more real. And as soon as I got there, there was about, I think, about 90 England competitors in the different categories. So you compete in your weight class and your age class. So there were junior lifters, you know, senior lifters, and masters. I'm a master 1 because I'm between 40 and 50. Really nervous, didn't want to let anyone down. It's a lot, you know, as you said, there's not much money in the sports. I wasn't getting paid like a lot of sports. I had to fund myself. So yeah, very nervous. Didn't want to let anyone down, especially, you know, on the platform. It is scary because it's just you, all eyes are on you. It's being streamed, people are watching, and it's just trying to get that composure and the confidence to know that you just have to focus on what you're doing. And your lift. So that's a massive learning curve as well that I'd not had. And
were you the only like South Asian woman?
So funnily enough, it was the Commonwealth Championships. So there was was a Sri Lankan team.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah, there was a Sri Lankan team. I'm not. I mean, they you know, they weren't lifting the heaviest, but there were some Sri Lankan women who were great. Great that they were there. So there were other South Asian women as well. There was an Indian team as well. So yeah, that was great. But there wasn't in my group, I don't remember any, because we all lift on different days. So definitely not in my my age category. So,
and were you able to connect and like speak to and sort of?
Yeah.
Amazing.
We spoke about it. It tended to be, if I'm saying, you know, it was the more well-off people who can afford the time to have a coach and train, in the Sri Lankan and Indian ladies. So the people I follow on Instagram, they tend to be the ones who do have the money to support them and be able to do it. But that was amazing that I'd actually see them lift as well. That was great.
Good. And for everyone that will be listening to this, how did you do?
So I got a bronze medal. So
that's amazing.
And I got PBs on all my personal bests on all my lifts. So something came out the bag. I had an amazing a coach with me as well. So someone who was, they call them the handler. So someone who was saying what numbers I should be lifting.
Yeah.
You know, encouraging me and stuff. So yeah, that was great.
And what was the reaction from people? Because obviously there's Ajanta who's, you know, she's trying out some weights and
Yeah.
okay, she's lifting heavy to
Yeah.
okay, she's doing some regional sort of competitions, and now
Big jump.
you won bronze
Yeah.
for England.
Yeah.
Like, what were people's reaction?
Yeah, just amazed, really. I mean, a lot of my friends who knew me when I was younger absolutely could not. I mean, I could barely believe it, but then for them to see me, who was a bit of a party girl, didn't really wasn't interested in sport or anything, to suddenly be on the podium in Canada was just a huge leap. Yeah. So yeah, just amazed, I think, but also yes, massively supportive, and then realised it is something that I am pretty good at.
Yeah. And have people actually sort of tried powerlifting from you suggesting them or encouraging them?
Well, I think it's made people not scared of lifting heavy and thinking, yeah, I'm going to do that squat, or I'm going to try this. And I just can't say enough how important it is to build muscle, especially as we get older. It's, you know, it's the reason people get bad back. People think you get a bad back from deadlifting. It's not. If you haven't got, you know, you need to build the muscles to support your back. So I'm a huge believer now in just really building muscle to support you in old age. You know, not everyone is going to compete. It doesn't matter. I think everyone should be lifting, whatever age you are, to support your bones, to support your muscle, because we know that, you know, muscle wastage happens the older you get.
And I must admit that that's amazing, because, you know, I look at women with muscle and the same women, you know, like that haven't obviously done that hard work of, like, as you say, building muscle, you know, sort of looking after your skeleton, looking after your body, you know, and actually having the mindset of a healthy body, not a skinny body, but having a healthy body. And that actually means looking bigger a lot of the time as well. But even, you know, that person that hasn't built that muscle looking older than what they are as well. I mean, like, not having that nutrition going in, you know, as well.
It's the whole thing, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. The nutrition, the exercise. Obviously, it's definitely good to do cardio as well, and fitness. But just running, you know, will not do any benefit for your muscles. You need to strengthen those quads to help your knees when you run. You need to strengthen your glutes to help your back. It's key, and I'm lucky I've learned it along the way almost. And I'm hoping I'm not going to have any of those problems when I'm older.
And it's good because it's changing that image, or what body image is. And, you know, so many people are doing it at the moment, and it's amazing. We're seeing more plus size models, which is fantastic. Whether designers have been made to feel that they have to do it, either way, it's a good thing as far as I'm concerned, because it's a step in the right direction. You know, and I think for you as well, and the powerlifting, and actually, you know, sort of promoting the health benefits, you know, inside and out as well, is amazing. So what do you think companies or people could be doing to, like, help promote powerlifting or lifting up the weights? What could be done?
I think it is becoming, you know, a bit more prevalent. So obviously fitness companies like Reebok and Nike and those companies are, you know, not necessarily just showing footballers or just showing, you know, tennis. Or I think they need to sort of start advertising for weightlifting and powerlifting, and showing showing images of people lifting would
different
be
types of
great
women as
in
well.
our adverts. Different types of women, different shapes of women, and showing how much they're lifting almost, so people aren't scared to lift heavy. I mean, my husband won't mind, but I squat more than him, so and he doesn't, you know, he loves it. He thinks
And he's so proud of you.
He's so proud of me. We had a little, like, in lockdown, a little, you know, mini competition, and it turns out that I can squat more than him. But, you know, he's got his own talent, so it's fun. squash player. So not everyone's going to be the same. It's just you're doing it for you. You're doing it for your own personal
Yeah.
journey. But I definitely think just more images of different types and sizes of women, especially more ethnic women,
Yeah.
lifting and pushing that weight. And I think CrossFit has helped with that as well. So that's grown to show that definitely the strong, not skinny is
Yeah.
a popular hashtag, and just to keep going with it, keep going, promoting it, hopefully sponsoring more competitions. Like I said, there's not much money in these sports, unfortunately, but it's a great, I mean, everyone loves a strong man. You
Yeah.
know, let's push the strong woman.
Well, you're
Let's do
seeing,
it.
you know, more women footballers as well now, aren't you?
Yeah,
Sort of like the teams in England playing and all the like top ones.
yeah,
And it is amazing because me and my partner will sit there. I mean, I'm not into football, but he'll sit there and he, you know, he's getting really into it, like, you know, and actually it's getting more men into it as, you know, as well, because actually I'm thinking, and also my daughter as well, you know, she sits with us and like, you know, my partner's going, look, you know, look how she's doing, you know, and explaining the game.
yeah,
And I think it's amazing because there were roles and jobs that I used to watch on TV and I knew it was never going to be an option for me.
yeah.
But as you say, social media has really helped, and I feel like social media as well, I feel more connected to people.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have known about competitions to enter, and I wouldn't have seen, you know, lots of YouTube videos. There's loads of Instagram about, you know, levels that you should be lifting, how to lift, so many different advice on stretches and accessory exercises. There's such a wealth of information now. So that's just great that that's come on. It's just putting it out there a bit more, so to encourage women to do it, especially, I think, and get rid of this old, you know, oh, you're going to get bulky, it's, you know, you're going to injure yourself. No way. It's such a good thing to do, for your own self. And like we said about worrying about the weight, you know, you're more worried about what weight you're going to put on the bar now,
Yeah.
which is
and
great.
and I suppose stop worrying about attitudes, because you are breaking that, you know, you are breaking that barrier, and you're sort of breaking stereotypes on what, you know, women should look like as well, because I can see it makes you happy, and you know, and it
Definitely
makes
does,
you
yeah.
feel, I don't know, maybe more of a woman, I suppose.
Just, yeah, just sort of something for
Like
myself, really,
the
just
woman
something
you want to
that I can
be.
have that little inner, yeah, I can do this, you know, I'm good at this,
Yeah,
and I enjoy seeing it improve.
yeah. And so last part, like, you've been amazing and you've said, so I'm going to ask you, but you've already probably said it, I know you probably already said it, but words of advice to a younger audience, so, you know, maybe, you know, the girl that you would have sort of told, you know, your younger self, um someone who wants to go into powerlifting or even try it out to see if it's something for them,
Mm.
what would you say to that little girl?
Well, firstly, do not be worried or scared at all. It will only benefit you. So don't have those, don't, like we said, the attitudes that you think people will think about you, just out of your head. Then I think it depends on your setup. Like if you're just going to a normal gym, with a weight section, um, go in, have a look. You know, see if there are any trainers there that can sort of advise you. I'd say there's so much information. So say you want to do a deadlift, just have a look. Try it with a dumbbell. You know, try it on the fixed bars with a straight back. Have a look on YouTube at the right technique you want to do. Start with your body weight for a squat, for example. Just squat right down, look at yourself in the mirror, see how low you go, make sure your legs are, you know, your legs wide apart. There's so much on YouTube about how to start lifting. I want to make sure they're lifting safely, and once they know how to do that, just carry on, just keep going, keep putting the weights. And that's exactly how I did it, with encouragement. And then you will find your little tribe, you'll find your community, because you know, more people will see you doing it and lift, and you might encourage someone else to lift as well. There are so many powerlifting gyms now that you can join as well that are really reasonable, you know, not expensive, and they will obviously encourage you to lift heavy. So I've got a local one, in, well, local to me where my coach is, so I go up there quite a bit, and there's so much that you can learn from them. And you know, if you really like it, you can enter anyone can enter a competition. That gives you a bit more motivation, a bit more drive to just continue doing it. So yeah, don't be discouraged. Go into a gym, go into your environment, have a look on the web, see what's out there, and go for it.
Ajanta, I think you're so inspirational. I'm so lucky to have been able to speak to you today. Thank you so much. And I know
You're welcome. It's great.
So many women. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Take care.